Hello everyone, I'm Wisdom Happy, and this is day 3 of RegenWeek live broadcast. Today I'm here with Dr. Heike Bielik, and she will be telling us about her project, the Club of Athens.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and I've been working on this concept quite a long time, and we're so excited to finally launch it here at the RegenWeek.
Very good. What is the relationship to your project and the concept of regeneration?
I mean, the word regeneration already implies it's a regeneration. So the earth already generates. It already does it in complete alignment. And us as humanity, we have, not really been aligned to these natural laws. So for me, it means regenerate with just realigning ourselves to nature so we can, live in more harmony. It's quite simple for me, yeah.
Very good. And what is one of the biggest problems that you're seeing that this is a solution to?
I think we have a lot of solutions, you see? There's a lot of problems, but we have so many solutions. And what I'm focused on is more like, how do we bring all of these solutions into reality? How do we integrate them into the existing system so they can thrive? Because a lot of the solutions don't even get implemented. And that's where we focus on. How can we create a systems architecture that works in harmony so all of the amazing solutions we hear in this amazing week, but also all around the world, can step into as kind of like having this common vision.
Yeah. It's one thing to have a vision, to actually execute it takes so much more. So the Club of Athens is meant to help people get their ideas into reality?
I mean, the Club of Athens is kind of like a global think tank.
Cool.
And at the center of this think tank is this vision. So how do we create an abundant society? How do we actually do that? What do we need on an individual level? And there are all of these spheres that we actually need. We need food, water, we need shelter, we need education, we need finances, we need all these things, law and order. But how can we create a process flow? And that's really what we're really good at, because we are geometricians. So we've been working a lot on geometry and how to align processes, how to understand nature in those geometric terms. And now we're applying these ideas to like how does information actually flow so everybody can step into that. And you could say, the vision is very big because ultimately it needs these big players to come on board to actually make it happen. But it can also already happen on a very low scale. Actually in everybody's life, there's a way how you can bring alignment with nature, right? With your ideas, and that are financially viable. So one of the 3 things that we're always talking about in terms of like, how do we create this? There are 3 values. And the value is ecology, like it has to be ecological. It has to be financial. It has to work for people. And it has to be ethical. And if we're aligning ourselves with these 3 values, the triple bottom line values, then actually we can already begin to regenerate ourselves, or more I would say integrate our ideas and technologies on all scales.
This is a way for you to value align groups of people towards helping the world.
Yes.
Amazing.
And I think that the main thing, or where we can make that big change, because talking is one thing, but how do you actually make it happen? So at the core of this is kind of like this new technology that we've been working on, which is kind of like a geometric graphical user interface that works with AI in a new way. Like you're reprogramming AI to visualize data in a whole new way. And I think that is really at the core and the uniqueness of what we're doing. It's like, how do you bring information into context? How does it work for you on an individual level, but also on larger scales? Because really, very often, when you're on WhatsApp or Facebook or whatever social media, information just gets lost. Or if you're on Google, information gets lost. So really what we need is to reconnect information, just like a brain. Humanity is like a brain at the moment that is not quite working, right? It's a little bit dysfunctional in some sectors. And really it's like, okay, how do you reconnect that information? First, it's like, how do you access information? So if you can generate a system that brings information into alignment so you can see clearly. You have a bird's eye view on things. Then you can start to see how solutions can work.
So what would you say some of the simplest functions of the user interface system is? So you just said information, communication, and organization. And so
how does it work?
How does it work?
So, I mean, think about information, okay? Think about a circle. Anything can be represented inside a circle. You're a circle, I'm a circle, and that circle, again, is related to many other information. So what this thing does is kind of like a fractal holographic system that works kind of like a folder system. You know, you could zoom into my circle, and you could see all of the things that I love. Yeah, let's say I really love regeneration. I like to think about new technologies. And then there are the things that can overlap. So we can see how we can merge. It's kind of like Venn diagrams, you know, like in mathematics. And you're just like working information this way, where you use basic shapes that can transmit a lot of information just like intuitively, you know. You just look at it. Like, for example, a circle can be big or it can be small. And that can represent a quantity of some regard. And it can also represent the things that are very useful for businesses. Like, for example, in business, you really want to know how your business is going. So maybe you want to represent circles, KPIs. And a CEO can actually really go through the whole structure and see what's going on to the very low level. And that's the power of the system. Yeah.
It's a project management tool in some ways?
It's more like information visualization. Yeah, so you could manage things like that, but it can be applied in so many ways. Yeah, it can be applied on an individual level for whatever you're looking for, really.
So this is your main product.
Yeah.
And the Club of Athens has a broader scope than that.
Club of Athens is basically a vision. So what we want to do is we're using this technology to make the vision work. Because let's say you're coming in with your own idea in whatever sector it is, and you would like to step into the vision. And that technology would show you how that could work using these triple bottom line values. Yeah? Is it sustainable? Is it ethical? Is it financial? And to give you an example, as a user case, let's say we have a lighter, right? And you're buying a lighter, and how do you make this a triple bottom line value? So first of all, if you have a lighter, well, that's waste, so it has to be returned. Second of all, the owner of the shop really wants to make money, right? So you have to acknowledge that. And the third one is ethical, which means you want to have some sort of human interaction, because your life is going to be amazing and valuable when you have all of these personal interactions, and that's what we want to nurture. So in terms of a lighter, what would you do? You could create a QR code, right, on that lighter and say, hey, return this. Yeah, and maybe you get a free lighter. So if you return this and you get a new lighter, well, that's good for the customer because he doesn't have to pay for the lighter. For the shop owner, it's good because he went into the shop and maybe will buy something else, right? So it's financially viable as well. And number three, it's like, yeah, you have a direct interaction with the shop owner. You have a customer relationship that you want to nurture. And that's very good because the guy who brought the lighter back, yeah, you've done something for the planet. And at the same time, the owner will benefit as well. So what we want to create are games using this technology that's a win-win for everyone. And it's just the mentality. If you start with that, then other things can fall into place, you know?
Incentivizing a harmony with those three triple bottom lines. And what were they again?
Ecological, so in alignment with nature. This is all regeneration. It has to be ethical, which is all like, it's also morality. Yeah, we're talking about morality. We're talking about human interaction. We're talking about quality of life. You know, you want to create a product that has a high quality. You don't want to create a product that doesn't work, right? And number three is financial. Does it make money? And I think a lot of the world is driven by just that factor. Does it make money? Yes, you have to work on that, but it has to also balance with everything else because it doesn't really help you if you're producing something and then in like 100 years' time, nature is destroyed. I mean, we can all agree on that, right?
Right.
So
So at Region Week, we have hundreds of people with projects here. And how could that help somebody on a project for an eco-village or a technology?
Yeah, I mean, what we would start with would be a consultation. We start by mind mapping that business and say, okay, this is how your business works, and how could we, just transform it in such a way that it will be under the framework of these three values. Yeah, and ultimately, if we do have the technology ready, because at the moment we don't, so that is something that I would need. Yeah, it's like some sort of support in that sector, coding the thing. And then just implement those solutions, because in the end, it's a fractal, which means everything can be in there. Okay. Yeah, it just needs to have a place. So if there's a corporation coming along, they're doing amazing stuff in agriculture, yeah, they will come on board into that system.
So it's amazing. Value-aligned companies are potentially one of our biggest solutions towards getting to the world that we all want to live in, the sustainable world we all want to live in. So you mentioned some of the things you need. Programming assistance?
Yeah, I think it's about getting the right team together to actually make it happen, because we already programmed it before. Okay. But now with some more time and some more experience, we can probably make it better. And then just, implement it. Get people on board to sign up to the system, probably some funding to actually boost the whole project. And just create this umbrella, kind of like the Club of Rome, the Club of Budapest, creating this think tank that stands for solution-driven systems architecture that will push next generation technologies into the future. So that's really what I'm interested in. I'm interested in all of these amazing solutions that are actually being mass-produced. And it's affordable for people to have that also in their life.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So if any of you are interested in helping this amazing project by any programming help or any as well funding and trialing the system, it's going to be more than just trialing the system. It's part of a community that's focused on helping.
Yeah, and it's a part of a community, but there's a deeper sense to it as well. Because actually what our real passion is actually how nature works, How is the geometric nature of reality? How can we use that to create next generation technologies? So a lot of our work is also based on that part of the system.
Starting from the bottom, we
bottom
have more.
Up and top down. Coming like a tortoise.
Amazing.
Yes.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience?
I think all of the solutions are here, and that's amazing, because we are so much focused on negativity that if we're shifting the focus on the things that are possible, then we're putting energy into this. And when we're putting energy into this, then things can actually manifest, right? So I think the most important thing for me is that you can believe that there is this utopia that we can step into, because a lot of people are already lacking this vision. So I think if you start with that and have an idea how this could look like, then yes, it's a first step for manifestation, and see how other things can integrate into the system. Because we all want to win, and we all want to have an amazing life. And if we can agree on that, then we already won. Yes.
Thank you very much, Heike.
Thank you.
your thesis there is that we're distracted, and that's keeping us from starting a project with a regenerative
What I
value?
mean is that distracted meaning like we
Hello everyone, I'm Wisdom Happy, and today I'm joined with Armando Uribe, who is a regenerative thought leader in architecture.
hello, welcome.
So we were just talking at the beginning a little bit, and we were talking about what regeneration means to you. You're an architect.
Yes.
You're thinking about complex physical details in the way that we live in our spaces.
Yeah.
And what you said to me was that regeneration is about connection.
Yes. Yeah, well, as I was telling you, when architects or people who are involved in the transformation of any place, a space or a place, right? I believe in essence that is what architecture is about, or even real estate development also, which I've been involved lately, mostly because that's I think where a lot of destruction is still happening. Distraction, I call it. No? I think it's been in the modern times we have been detached from the possibility, from the opportunity to transform a place into a better place. Even though there is an ecosystem breathing there, and there's people that are actually going to be involved in that place, from the designing process to the building process to then when the building is transformed or finished, people are going to be spending time in that space. So there's so much impact, I think, that we can do. Also including the processes, the material processes that are involved, right? Where the materials come from and the choices that we make to create a certain kind of impact, right? So I see architecture as that, as a big opportunity to redefine how we live and the choices we make and how those choices create a positive impact in humanity, in the planetary field, right? We are one tribe.
So you're an entrepreneur,
Yes.
and would you tell us a little bit about Wave and Pura here?
Sure.
in Tulum?
Thank you. Well, Wave is my office. I call it the kitchen, where we actually cook all our buildings. We mix architecture, we mix art, we mix, of course, also engineering, different kinds of engineering, permaculture. Right? We really focus on how the ecosystem is actually expressing itself in many ways, through the wind, to the sun, to the light, temperature, to the way the plants are expressing themselves, the animals. It's really complex, as you're saying, right? But it's not so complex to actually read it and feel and try to understand what is really going on there in terms of patterns and then design accordingly. So that's what Wave is. Wave is a multidisciplinary office where we produce a lot of buildings. And Pura is, as you said, I became an entrepreneur because I realized that if I would be just a researcher, it would all stay in my mind. And I wanted to put it into practice. And I knew it was not going to be easy because I knew I was going to do many mistakes also. But I chose that as a way, to ground it in reality. And as we would take practice, we will see the improvement of what we would be doing. So we've been doing this for 10 years now. We became a developer company as well, developing company. And Pura is a kind of the most mature project that we have produced so far. We did some practice in order to learn a few things about how to do the wholeness of development, real estate development. But Pura is 12 homes. It has one community social house, and then the other 11 homes are getting built as we speak, and there's people becoming a community. It's a community on the making.
Amazing.
And
There's
a lot
connection component.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's a lot of nature around. I guess we in the middle of a place that is going to become or is becoming very urban. We only have like 27% of built surface, and then the rest is a continuous permaculture experiment.
So in a way, you're protecting the nature by building on it.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And that's one of the basic things I think that we can do. If we actually don't destroy, if we recognize what is happening there, and then we improve it, I think that's what we can do as humans. We are like bees. If we understand how, it's not only leaving it as it is, it's actually dynamizing it through our presence, through our practices. And that's what we do there. Yeah.
That's
and as we do that also, there's of course, this human connection. No? Human connection and sharing many practices.
And I imagine it's very happy. Can you tell us a little bit about the design principles you use? Maybe some examples of.
Sure. Well, as I was saying, the first principle, the most important one, is to understand that there's something happening there, That there's a kind of like a rhythm. There's a natural music going on there
Already.
that is really complex and beautiful by itself, right? And and then the next principles come, like, which is learning how to read that, how to read the movement of the sun, how to read the wind, how to read the changes in seasons, even in a place like this. No, people might think that there are no seasons in hot, humid climates, but there is. There are lots of changes, and as we learn how to be more sensitive with that, then we can design accordingly to that. We can create spaces that are comfortable for humans, which is something sometimes that we sometimes forget about that, right? It's also us. We can be very comfortable in spaces. We don't have to sacrifice ourselves for nature, right? At the end, we are nature, and so that's one of the principles. That's one of the set of principles, let's say. But then the other one is really about how we hold spaces in the creative process, throughout the creative process and through the construction process. So if we go to our construction sites, you will see people that are really calm as well. They're not forced to do anything. We're not forcing anyone to do anything. It's more like, again, also collaborative. And as we practice that, that is also regeneration from my perspective.
Regeneration can be everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like you could act as a model for more projects around the world, not just in the design, but in the production itself.
Yeah. Well, so I guess you're right. At some point, I understood that. I realized I studied abroad. I studied in Australia. I studied in Barcelona. I studied in Japan. Japan was really lovely, but in general, I believe that in Western countries, the process of designing and construction has become a little bit broken. There's designers designing, but then there's builders building. There's companies for everything, or at least it was like that when I studied there. And then I came back here.
Subcontractors.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Which, I mean, it has its own. I mean, it's not necessarily bad, I would say. But when I came here, in a way, what I needed to do is to create my own systems, because there's nothing of that. It's very raw still, right? But then that became also a really interesting thing to do, because we connect to people. It's about the human connection to the way we can make things happen. And it's also designing with the essence of the materials and the place. So it puts you back on the field, I guess, instead of just being in an office designing all the time. So,
Work doesn't have to just be work. It can be community as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're trying. That's what we're practicing. In no way do I believe that I'm a master in anything. I believe that we're practicing. And this is what regeneration is about for me. To there and to dive into practices, to be able to relearn how to do that again. I think in this reshuffling that we're living right now on the planet, it is only right to do that again, to reconnect between ourselves, to reconnect with the specificity of the expressions really of the planet, anywhere we go, and then whatever we are, designers, architects, cooks, engineers, whatever we chose as our means, as our language, recognize that and do something for it. Dance with that same rhythm instead of passing on top of it without knowing that is happening there.
What is your vision for the scale of these projects?
For the scale of our projects?
Where do you want them to grow to?
Well, Peaceful Places we call it a Peaceful Places network. Mm-hmm. It's a network that is bound to go to as many places as possible, because we do believe that what we're doing, although it's simple in essence, really, once we do it and once we have been practicing, it's very simple to do. It's even simpler, I would say, than doing it the other way around. It's not common. It's very uncommon. Here in Tulum, I mean, I know maybe of one more project that has chosen to nurture the nature that they found, the way we're doing it. So we're aiming to go to as many places as we can. And we're actually starting in Baja now. Next month, we're starting a project in Baja California as well. But I believe, since it is about resourcing the actual specifics of every place, right, nature and culture, that in a way, I see this as a kind of like an acupuncture that we can start to reconnect again. We are now connected globally, that's evident, right? But what if that network that is global now it's used to connect again to the locality of as many places as possible through architecture, through food, through cooking, through culture in general, through music, right?
Right. What do you need right now to reach that scale you want to get to?
Well, I guess most of all I need more capital. I need financial support to continue to accelerate it, basically. Because I do believe that it's also the destruction is happening fast. You can see it in the planetary scale, but you can see it in this territory. As if things are getting developed, this intelligence that is present is getting vanished, right? So if we could actually do it at the same rate somehow in some kind of organization. And we have a team, we have a good team right now, so it's mostly that I think that I would, and we're working on that. We're working on documents that are going to go out and look for more capital to continue.
And value-aligned capital, not just any capital.
What is value-aligned capital?
Value-aligned, and well, you obviously have very strong values to help the world and towards connection and to care about nature.
Yes. Oh, I know what you mean. Like exactly. It's not only money. No, it's about also it's always money oriented to that. No, to adding value processes. That's actually how I see it. No, it's not only one-time value that extracts raw and leaves. No, I believe that what we're doing is setting or igniting processes of change that can, if we lead them in the right direction, be continuous processes of regeneration in the territories that we act upon. Yeah.
And so peaceful spaces.
Peaceful places.
Peaceful places.
That's the name of the network. Yeah.
This is a network, and this is something broader than an individual project.
Exactly. Yes. The first one is in Tulum. It's called Pura. We will have actually on Saturday we will have an event there. But yeah, I mean the second and third are starting in Baja in the next month, and hopefully more to come. Yes. But it's mostly It's mostly. Can I continue?
Yes. Yeah. Three.
Sorry. It's mostly, I would say, the model. It's not only the money, but the model to actually make this spread. Also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A system that allows that to autonomously, for architecture like this that we so need.
Exactly.
To autonomously.
Somehow, like it's a model that not necessarily autonomous by itself, but I mean in a way that we can be efficient with the energy that we will put, no, the kind of people and the way we'll do it. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I just want to go back to that. This feels like one of the most important ideas in regeneration. Is that the idea is not that we leave nature. The idea is that we come in and build in a way that actually supports it.
Yeah.
That keeps it.
Exactly.
In harmony with it.
Yes, I agree on that. And I believe it's completely possible. It's just that we have forgotten how to do it, but it's possible. It's not about one or the other. No? I've faced many people saying that, fearing that because they're going to take care of nature as we're going to do the building or the project, they're going to not make money. Yeah. And that's, I think, one idea that is based on not on reality. It's based maybe mostly on fear and of ignorance of the fact that you can do it right and you can still have it. You know, you can still do whatever you're doing and keep going. You know.
And if you have trees around it, it's cooler. The space is cooler.
Exactly.
Less electricity bills.
Exactly.
That kind of thing. Right?
Yes.
And then the happiness, I'm sure, is valuable too. How can we change the mindset of that? How can we change that mindset?
Well, I guess that everyone needs to do our part, but from our perspective, it's creating these places. When people come and spend time in these places, anyone, no? Like if you actually go and see and spend time in nature, and we feel the difference. I think that's a starting point also, no? To see that it's possible and that it's better for us, no? If we do that. We all know it, but then when we're going to take action for somehow, we have a different kind of program, right? And that's a program that we need to change.
And you're creating a culture of that new program.
Exactly.
Economics and and environmental and ecology can work together.
Definitely, yes, yes. And it requires a lot of people. I think regeneration is not only one person, it's many disciplines and different processes of co-creation. You know, that is not only about transactional, right? But we're there. I think we're part of the movement. You and me and all of us.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you, Armando.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Christina.
It heals itself tomorrow. You're the trouble.
Hello everyone, I'm Wisdom Happy, and I'm joined here today with Charlie Stewart Gay, a regenerative thought leader in the space of how humanity connects to the planet. Hello,
Thank
Charlie.
you for having me here.
Very welcome. So you are a community builder.
I've been gifted with people wanting to come around ideas and energies that we've created. I think when people say you're a community builder, you're attaching yourself to a result or an expectation, similar to a movement. I think community is just something that naturally comes together. I think what was central in the beginning of time has become peripheral in all our minds, and what was peripheral became central. So we separated. So yes, back in the day there were communities around Catholicism and Christianity and Hinduism and Islam, still is. There's communities around what soccer team you like. There's communities around cities. But we separated in gender and color and creed and dogma and geography over 2,000 years. So now where you are and where we are, and the questions you ask me is around, I think all of us have this common heart for common purpose to do with the planet. And we've got to move on, and what does that look like?
And you were telling me before we started, you've seen common heart, you've seen common purpose. But the thing you want to see more is common rhythm.
Yes, I do. I really, really do. Because if you look at the way I look at people, they either have zero ease, they're careless people, they live without care. And that may be because they're ignorant, and there's nothing more expensive than ignorance. Because inherently everyone has goodness inside of them, but you give an example of Putin or Hitler, clearly there's atrocities around that. You're seeing that in Gaza. But unfortunately, there's the karmic placenta of time that we all have inside of us, and it drives us to do the things that happen on the planet. So that's the fear and darkness and the shadow. On the other side, there's love and light. And there's a small group of people that's gathering in millions now that may not be as loud in the world as the ones that are in fear, because the Putins have an ability to communicate very loudly with atrocity. So this is a gentle whisper that's coming together in the power of love. That community ultimately conquers fear and darkness without a shadow of a doubt. But we're in a period of chaotic emergence. We're all in this period of chaotic emergence, individually, locally, globally. It's this generation. It wasn't gifted to our forefathers. They had to judge in different ways. They were separated in geographies and genders. I was executive director of Nelson Mandela's last nonprofit. The man was in prison for 27 years as a black gangster. And he came out and he said, "It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us," Marianne Williamson's words. And as I liberate myself from my own fears, my presence gives other people permission to do the same. So the community is a way of being, not necessarily just doing. It's a way of being. And I see it. It's happening all the time. It's happening everywhere. And it's happening here this week. And it's a blessing.
So you obviously care about the world, and you obviously care about humanity as well. And you have many projects. We were talking about mind clearing project that you were working on, and you also mentioned that you have built a community, a 10-year-old community, and a property here in Tulum on the beach. Is there anything you'd like to tell us about any of those projects?
The main community that we're looking at right now is around the basic rights to food, water, shelter, education. There's a community of migrants on the planet. It's a trickle at the moment. The British government is spending $3.8 billion on housing 200,000 refugees at a cost of £19,000 a day and a hotel bill of $8 million. New York is suing Texas for sending 17 coaches last month, one way. So if you add the maths up, what I just shared with you, by 2030, because no one is yet holding on to the issue of climate in the world, and if climate continues to have its way and an ocean rises by only 1 meter, there's 380 million climate refugees on the planet. No government is able to deal with that. So I'm an activator, not an activist. And it's about waking people up to this situation. But I'm not Attenborough or the girl from Norway, Greta, because they have pleaded with the planet to get on their knees and to hear the message. And yet the humanity continues to act out. So community, as far as a project right now, is primarily, yes, we launched a multi-cropping farm in Liberia, a country I've worked in for 25 years. I was fortunate to go in there after the wars of genocidal child soldiers. The first female was made president ever in Africa, was in Liberia. So regeneration, what was central became peripheral. What was central with black and white is not what we think it is today. Mandela knew that. And the example is Liberia has a US flag with 1 star. There was slaves put into slavery by a king tribe, putting a poor tribe into slavery. They were both black. They were sold to Portuguese that were white. The Portuguese brought the slave to America. Emancipation happened. 200 years later, empowerment happened. Regeneration happened from within the slaves. They then became a problem once they were emancipated in America. So America sent them back as migrants to Liberia. Then there's out of alignment because the king tribe can't read and write. And yet the poor tribe can. So it goes like this. And then Charles Taylor incites blood diamonds, child soldiers, and 11 to 17-year-olds decide to machete each every villager, etc. Out of it, the women marched in the streets, said no sex, no sex. The war stopped that day, and ushered in the first ever female president. Regen is ultimately despite of us as much as because of us, because God has a way of reaching us through chaos.
Regen is despite of us as much as because of us.
Because the planet heals tomorrow. It doesn't need us. We just think, this is very important, we act in this planet as if we're apart from nature, when we're just a tiny, tiny part of nature. A tiny part. And the planet is watching us. It's crying. And yet it has unbearable compassion, just like your mum. Your mum would never have thrown you out of your own house. She loves you. And the mother says this, but we are ignorant to her cries. And so ultimately, it may burp us off it, but it regenerates itself. So the planet is completely healthy tomorrow. We're just, as humanity, the issue.
So, in your view,
Yes.
what is our role as humanity in regenerating the planet?
It is to become conscious. It is to become connected. It is to become circulatory in resources rather than holding on throughout time. Winner takes all. You know, the planet has been driven by history that has been written by men and by winners. It relates to sex over thousands of years. We're reaching a point where that connectivity is beyond any of those former hindrances, which were not central. You know, the beginning of Genesis, all was good when heaven and the vault was created and there was earth and there was heaven. I wrote an article this week, if you were going to ask, you know, under a pressing issue, look at food. American farmers are earning, and British farmers are earning 50% less this year than they did last year if they're arable farmers. The seed costs, the fertilizers, the sprays, because they're monocropping, because the planet needs the wheat and the corn.
Economically, it's
Exactly. There is no sustainability economically, and that's what the article was on Substack. And we have a farm, we're blessed. We did this beautiful hotel on the beach of Tulum. It became number 3 in the world on Condé Nast's 150 greatest hotels on the planet. We had an extraordinary group of conscious people coming to Tulum in this curative conscious container that we called Sonara.
beautiful.
It was stunning. And then we were able, with resource, to buy the prime 800 acres beside Valladolid, which used to be a ranch 200 years ago. Anyone that says regen regarding a Mayan forest is not regenerative, because the forest was pure beforehand. Regen is when you have to bring something back to its natural order and your own nature, my nature. What is my nature? What is your nature? You can use these words out there, but regen is a return to what was central, but has become peripheral. And that affected the land. It affects water. Water costs. Water shouldn't be scarce. It should not be scarce. There's an abundance of water. And yet we're baited to believe something that will end up with blue gold. Blue gold. And the wars will be over blue gold. And there will be 1 billion people with a distant memory of what water is. Today, as you interview me, Sudan, famine. I was asked yesterday, this last week, to add another 300,000 meals into northern Mozambique, where we feed a porridge every day, which we do in South Africa. We're being asked for multi-millions of dollars worth of shelter units that at the moment are only being made in China, and they look no better than a shipping container made out of steel. They're not livable. Regen is bringing hemp. Hemp is phenomenal, by the way. Bringing cassava. We were making straws out of cassava. They're much stronger than paper or plastic. And hemp is 4 times stronger than most construction materials. That's regen, is using the soil in a organic way.
It utilizes its whole capacity.
Yeah, and then also makes the products within their own territories. Don't export things around the world. One, the ships are getting blown up anyway. And 2, the cost of moving of food is 30%. We had restaurants in America. If you were going to eat our food, 30%, or we were putting products into Costco and Whole Foods with cassava and plantain. 30% of the cost is just the movement of the distribution.
Regen, in your view, is connection, conscious, and circular.
Thank you for repeating those. You heard me accurately. And that's another thing, is to really hear accurately inside and then to know in the next second of your life. And you just did that.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else you'd like to leave the audience with?
No, it's a blessing and a gratitude to be in a community of Regen, and I've known Brad for 20 years, who brought this forward, and I'm unconditional to Regen, unconditional.
Well, you certainly made me feel a lot, and I appreciate all that you've done for the world and for humanity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Hello everyone, I'm Wisdom Happy, and I'm joined here today with Sandra Ponce de Leon, and she will be talking about her two projects, Refi Tulum
And the NFT boutique.
NFT Boutique.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, the NFT boutique in Tulum is something that we concepted 2 years ago, really as a showcase to show what's possible in this new world of Web3 and decentralization and digital art. And we have a showroom here in Tulum. It showcases NFTs that have a positive planetary purpose behind them. NFTs are non-fungible tokens, which essentially is digital artwork that will give you a certificate. You can have a certification behind it. Each NFT is a unique digital asset that has coding and metadata behind it. But it also, many NFTs, such as the ones that we are showcasing at the NFT boutique, unlock specific benefits. So for example, we have a collection called the House of Panther NFTs, and that collection is specifically for helping to save jaguars. We have 2 jaguars that we're caring for, and another leopard, and the NFT sales go to the care of those jaguars. That's one
amazing.
example of NFTs for good that we like to showcase at the boutique.
So you're able to use NFTs to help jaguars.
Yes, yes.
Do people buy the NFTs and that money goes to...
Yes, yes. So the NFTs, each sale, a percentage of those of the sale goes to the protection of the jaguars, and also to the team that designed the NFTs, such as the artist and then our team as well, which was involved in the launch. And that all happens through the smart contract, which is one of the unique functions of NFTs, is that you can, once something is sold, it can go directly to the wallets of the people that were involved. So it really eliminates, contract disputes and any kind of errors that could come up as a result of not being in alignment.
So it's a powerful financing tool.
Yes, yes, yes. It's an instrument of regenerative finance, refi, and also DeFi, which is decentralized finance. And refi is actually a really exciting new development. Well, not necessarily so new, but it's a way to create or finance regenerative initiatives using these new tools of decentralization. And DeFi. So some of the things that have happened in the DeFi world mimic a lot the financial world, in that you've got the ability to get interest, for example, on specific assets, whether that's a token or an NFT. And what you can do is you can also stake those assets. So by staking those assets, you can get a return on them. And those are some of the things that we're looking at from the regenerative finance world, taking inspiration from and using it for the benefit of the planet.
What would the process to do that before had been like? I assume it would have been a lot more complicated, is that right?
Nonprofits, charity, and there are a lot of nonprofits that are also moving into refi. What the blockchain enables, because this is all built on blockchain, and it enables immutable transactions. So every transaction is visible on the blockchain, but it's also somewhat anonymous in that you can only see the contract address and wallet that is doing that transaction. So it's a way to have transparency, accountability, and immutability all in one. And those are the advantages of Web3 and blockchain and using these tools for regenerative initiatives.
Transparency, accountability, and immutability.
Yes.
Immutability, digital assets can be copied. Is that?
They can't. Well,
can't be copied.
Once a transaction is done, you cannot reverse it.
Right. Okay. And so we were talking before about how you see this as a way to help people bring their vision to reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Refi is a way for communities to connect with each other and to use these different instruments to accelerate their technologies, their innovations. That's a lot of what we do as well, and also amplify that to the world. So that's really what we focus on at Refi Tulum and also at the NFT Boutique.
Beautiful. It's one thing to have an idea, but to actually make it a reality is much more. Sandra, what does regeneration mean to you?
Regeneration is regrowth, rebirth. It's really about looking to natural systems and taking inspiration from nature. You look at nature and it grows. You plant a seed in the ground and it grows. That's regeneration. It's also letting nature take its natural course and leaving nature alone in a lot of cases, because it is shown to regenerate itself, somewhat like what we saw happen in the pandemic, is that a lot of natural systems started to come back and thrive when they didn't have so much human activity. And that's what we can take inspiration from nature to regenerate ourselves and the planet.
And how amazing an idea of regenerative finance.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. When I first learned about regenerative finance, because I have a degree in global economics, it really turned my world completely upside down. And it's the opposite of really what all of our economic models are built on, which is continuous growth, infinite growth, really, and extraction, exploiting, and what regenerative finance looks to do is looking to nature for those inspirations and how we should build our economic systems. So, being in community with each other, having healthy relationships, seeing where, at the edge where abundance happens, where diversity happens, and really being, taking those inspirations into the way that we conduct business and the way that we interact with each other, and have different forms of exchange with each other.
Nature has its own economy, and it's very efficient.
Yes, circular.
Amazing. How does this relate to some of the things in your sector?
Well, one of the things that we've been really focused on in Tulum, through Refi Tulum, and really through all the initiatives that we have is, and you being here in Tulum, you probably have seen that Tulum has many issues, has much beauty and amazing magnetism and people, and it's an incredible place, but it's also has a lot of issues with infrastructure and with pollution and contamination. And we have one of the things that we've really are focused on is the deplastification of Tulum. Our dream is a clean Tulum, and we think that's possible with the technologies that we have available, and also with the help of the community. So a lot of what we do are beach cleanups, neighborhood cleanups, and the majority of all of that waste is actually plastic. So we have a relationship with a company called PetGas, which has a wonderful innovation which transforms plastic into clean energy through the process, and it can take any kind of plastic, even non-recyclable plastic, and it transforms it into 5 different combustible outputs. So those are petroleum, diesel, kerosene, paraffin, and natural gas, and it's a closed loop process, no emissions. And so we, right now, through some of the Refi tools and projects, NFTs, we are looking to bring a pet gas plant to Tulum and envision a clean Tulum. And the way that we do that is also through the incentivization of behavior. And we have different tokenomics. We have the pet gas coin, for example, and also the Tulum coin that can reward people for their good behavior. So one of the things that we did earlier this year is that we partnered with Day Zero, and Day Zero actually encouraged the community to take part in positive action for Tulum. And every participant was rewarded with Tulum coins and pet gas coins. At the end of that cycle leading up to the festival of Day Zero, the people that had 500 Tulum coins were able to trade that in for a ticket to the Day Zero festival. So this is one example of how we see a circular economic environment leveraging Web3 as well as the community engagement, and then seeing how that can be exchanged for something that gives you value.
And basically everything you just said would not have been possible with normal financing systems.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Financing is just, it's such a critical component to get anything done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Our economy is more than just, we were talking about this, economy is not just money. It can be a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a really powerful thing. Money can be an incredible thing. It's a way to represent the world.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that when you have purpose behind money and you're using your money for a positive impact in the planet, and I think that we all should, really, there's no reason why. I think it was yesterday I heard someone talking about incorporating social causes into marketing, and that is so important. And really in any business, partnering with your local community, how can you give back to your community? How can you help to solve the issues that we all face as a community? I think it's our responsibility to really give back as businesses, and examples to where we're living, to be that inspiration.
So what do you need to reach the scale that you want to reach with these systems?
Money and money and people. Mm-hmm.
Money and people.
And so we've been, one of the ways to support us is through the purchase of the NFTs, which also help these causes that I mentioned. And also you can sponsor cleanups for Tulum. We are focused on a plastic neutrality program that will help businesses reduce their plastic footprint and also encourage that community engagement. So if there's businesses that are looking to help us in our efforts to clean Tulum, to deplastify the planet, and to accelerate the work that we're doing, you can definitely reach out to me. I'm very easily accessible on pretty much every single social platform, Sandra MP on Twitter. You can also find Refi Tulum on Twitter, Refi Tulum, and Pet Gas Mexico. So there's a lot of different organizations that are here on the ground in collaboration with each other. It's not just one organization or one person, not just me, but we all work in collaboration and in partnership with each other. So, and we think that it's so important because Tulum really has all of the factors available to showcase what's possible, because we have the innovation, we have the need, and we have the desire. I think that from all over the world, people see Tulum as this beautiful place of regeneration, self-regeneration in a lot of cases, and want to also see it physically, ecologically regenerated, and that's what we're all working towards.
If some of the audience wanted to contract your with NFT Boutique or Refi, walk us through a little bit about how we could do that and what use cases it could be.
Absolutely. So there's products that you can purchase from us. One of the other technologies that we have is a way to turn plastic into different products. So we have some like a geodesic dome that can be purchased for like a glamping spot or signage or different types of products that we can make from the plastic that is actually not recyclable. So that would be one way. Obviously, to purchase our NFTs, you would want to open up a wallet, and you could go to, for example, houseofpanther.io, and that would take you to a mint site where you could purchase the NFTs. Pet Gas Coin is currently in its pre-launch phase. So if you go to petgasmx.com, I believe, then you can actually go to Pet Gas Coin and sign up for the pre-launch of the coins. Those in the future will give you access to some of these combustible outputs from the pet gas process. So you'll actually be able to get diesel or gasoline made from plastic. So those are some of the ways that people can support us. Obviously, we're doing a lot of different things, and also happy to create custom proposals for people that are interested in having an impact in Tulum and in our activities and initiatives here.
Amazing. The regenerative economy.
Yes.
How would you describe the regenerative economy?
The regenerative economy is an economy that doesn't look at the planet as a place of infinite resources that takes humans and people and our environment into account with everything that we design from an economic principle, that it has circularity built into it. So similar to what we're doing with our plastics-based economy, where we can actually incentivize someone to pick up plastic, pay them in a coin for plastic, and then they can use that in other places in Tulum or for travel. And that's one example of a circular economy that is also regenerative.
And the regenerative economy is not punishing, it's incentivizing.
And putting people and planet first.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience?
No, thank you so much. This has been really lovely, and it's been wonderful being here at RegenWeek and just connecting with fellow Regens and Treegens and Seagens.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Hello everyone, I'm Wisdom Happy, and today I'm joined with David Benjamin with his project MetaWeb, building a regenerative internet.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. So regenerative internet. Hello everyone, I'm Wisdom Happy, and I'm joined today with David Benjamin, who's working on a project called the MetaWeb, building a regenerative internet.
Yep, thanks for having me.
So what is a regenerative internet?
A regenerative internet would be a web that actually supports regeneration on all the levels that are needed. So to me, that means supporting the regenerative movement, but also means supporting people making regenerative choices in their lives, corporations and businesses and nonprofits making regenerative choices, everybody having the information that they need to proceed in a conscious, regenerative manner.
It's about access to information.
It's about access to information, but it's also about protecting us from many of the ills of today's web. We have scams rampant, we have predators, we have misinformation, disinformation, all kinds of false information everywhere, deep fakes, both audio and video. We have phishing sites. We have the complete capture of our data by the tech giants. We have censorship. So protection from a lot of those ills is also a big part of it.
The capture, it makes the internet this place that's so unconnected. And so we were just talking about a potential project where this tool that you're building could help a humanitarian project in Africa. How might that work?
Well, if we can create a layer above the web that enables a community, and in this case, an African community, but it doesn't have to be limited to that at all, but enables them to transact without a middleman, to be able to share information, to be able to build knowledge on top of web pages that are related to what they're working on, then we are providing a set of services that together enable those people to operate more autonomously as sovereigns in a way that will have regenerative outcomes.
And so you have written a book called The MetaWeb. And what are some of the main points in that book?
One of the main points is that none of the so-called futurists are paying any attention to the space above the webpage. They're all focused on this one layer down here, but the internet has this capacity to have infinite layers. And we can use those layers to our advantage to help us neutralize a lot of the problems that I just spoke about, but also at the same time enable a whole new level of collaboration that's really necessary for us to deal with the planetary problems that we have right now.
The internet is such an amazing tool, and we're not using its full capacity.
Yeah, I would say that we're using like this much of what's possible. And where this comes out for me, or where this line of thinking really manifests in a way that I understand very clearly, is if I say, as a collective, how collectively intelligent are we on a spectrum from 1 to 10, where 10 is the absolute highest level that we could be, and 1 is not collectively intelligent at all. So I would ask you, what do you think? Where do you think we are?
I think we're incredibly organized for animals.
Very, very true.
And we have so much more, the future holds this incredibly connected place for us. Absolutely incredibly connected place.
If we move away from today's web. So one of the big
Right.
points that I'm making in the book and as I'm speaking and as I'm thinking is if we don't include the web in the problem statement and in the solution that we're proposing, then we're actually never going to arrive where we need to be. And I think another way of saying that is with today's web, I think it's absolutely incomprehensible that we can have conscious, informed choices at scale. I mean, I just don't see how it happens when you have everything siloed. So all the information and networks, they're in their own silos. So they're not connected. You were talking about this future of interconnection, right? But right now, everything is really separated. And when you have things separated, I mean, there's this concept of divide and control, right? And this has been operating forever. That is what's happening on the web. And you have essentially the tech giants, the social media platforms, they control large swaths of the web and how people think because they actually determine what actually is in front of us. And if all our choices are determined by someone else, are you really controlling your thoughts? Are you really sovereign? If your choices are someone else's decisions, I tend to think a sovereign, we have choices, unlimited choices based on whatever. The limitations are just based on our circumstance. They're not based on what someone else wants to give us as the smaller set of what's available.
The internet is a tool of control.
Surveillance and control and data extraction.
And in a way, you want to liberate. Your project is liberating us from that control.
Yeah, I mean, not quite at the moment, but
that's
we're
the vision.
building right now. We're in the
Interesting.
kind of the early stages of it because I realized a while back that there was not really the appetite to go directly at the solution right now. It's very clear that the solution is a meta layer on top of the web that allows communities to operate autonomously and to interact when it makes sense, where they are able to go to a web page and if they choose to be visible at that time, the person can see everyone else within the community who's visible at that same time. They can see profiles. They can participate in a page-level chat. They can make annotations, or what I say kind of expanded to this idea of smart tags, be able to attach smart tags to pieces of content on the page that either just their community or any community can see, depending on what the particular smart tag is and the sensitivity of the information. But this idea of being able to not be alone on the web, be with your community, have your community be portable wherever you go, it's there with you, whoever's there at the same time, and then to be able to build information like stigmergy is how ants operate. They leave traces in the environment. The ants don't actually talk directly to each other. They actually read the information in the environment. I think it's pheromones in the case of ants, but why can't we leave digital traces in the environment that people within our community can read and build upon? So we end up into a paradigm where we're actually building knowledge together.
Wow. And all of that is those extra layers. Extra layers in just a web page.
Yeah, if you just have one layer, you can't do any of that. Because if you do it, you'll be doing it within the context of just a silo.
And so you mentioned the appetite hasn't felt like it's quite there yet. Is the context of the technology there?
Yeah, the technology is
in place. We have everything we really need to do it. It's more that the people who determine what's being built on the web are either corporations or startups, or maybe to a certain extent the government, to the extent that they fund these other things. But those entities don't focus on a whole-scale transmutation of the system. They tend to focus on the tiniest little thing. Because I've gone to startup accelerator programs, and what they tell you is, we need you to focus on this one little thing and get really good at that, and you're going to build your whole empire on this thing. And yeah, you can build other things, but let me tell you, there's no way that you end up with like working in the decentralized space above the web page and enabling that for everyone if you're focusing on some little minute thing like, how to make transactions a little bit faster, or how to, prevent people from front running a blockchain transaction, or you're trying to help people get, display their certifications better, or, when you're focusing on these little things, you're not thinking about the structural elements that need to change, because you're actually trying to work within the existing system to basically maximize the utility and value of what you're creating so that you can become a billionaire by selling off to a big company.
And a regenerative project cannot just focus on that on one small thing.
Well, you said it earlier, there's this possibility of a future of everything connected and interrelated. If we're just focusing on one of these little things, we don't end up getting to the point where we're saying, let's connect everything. We need to have a paradigm that allows things to be connected as people think that they should be connected. One of the things that we've been building is this notion of a bridge. A bridge is a conceptual link between a piece of content on one page to a piece of content on another page with a relationship. So you can imagine a contradicting bridge from a sentence in a news article to a segment of a video where the person in the segment is saying something that directly contradicts what's written here. And if we open up that technology, that capability to everyone, we can enable, and especially if we reward people for creating good ones, then a interconnected web will just happen by itself, because not by itself, by the community, by everybody coming together and saying, well, I'm working on this, and this thing needs to be connected to this thing, and this thing needs to be connected to this thing, and because I made this connection, I'm actually gonna, as people are using it, I'm gonna get value for it, and people are gonna be happy, and they're gonna be using it, and it's gonna help elevate, and we're actually
they're
building on top, we're building knowledge on top of the web page that eventually becomes this huge interconnected knowledge graph or wisdom graph that you alluded to when you said everything is connected.
That's just so many more dimensions of connection between the internet, and it sounds like it can all happen autonomously.
Yeah, it can all be decentralized, permissionless. Now, there would need, for this bridging mechanism, we're envisioning a validation step. So there would be a point where community members who have been trained on validating, they would actually check to make sure that the relationship between content A and content B is correct. But once you've done that, that's the only check that needs to be done, and it can be done in a decentralized fashion as well, where people are trained and then they're deployed, and the system is looking at how well they're doing. And we end up with a situation where we're able to say, these bridges over here, they're all validated, so we can actually drop a new bridge that's validated into this, and it maintains its integrity. That's the main thing, is maintaining integrity.
Maintaining integrity. So we were talking a little bit before about how capture is the capture of the big tech companies is one of the things that we need to work out of in the internet, right? And it's silos, and it's not it's not just divide and conquer, it's divide and capture. And
Yeah.
so would you talk a little bit more about how the system like this can help us get away from this Instagram trying to keep us scrolling all the time and Facebook trying to steal all their data?
Yeah, I'm not actually envisioning that those things go away completely, but more so that that you have options for how you want to spend your time. And I'm envisioning this possibility that while some people will continue using Facebook, Instagram, etc., quite a bit, that there'll be a lot of other people that'll say, you know what, I'm not going to be spending as much of my time in that area down on the content layer because I'm not really getting that much for them. Yeah, maybe it's entertaining or something like that, but if I go up into this other layer, they actually aren't able to track me, and I can interact with my community members. I can also leave traces on websites and read other people's traces, and I can get value from participating in this environment above the webpage that's actually safe. It's safe because everybody has one and only one account, and it's unique, and you can't just start a new account. You cyberbully someone, the person commits suicide. You can't start a new account next week. You can't start 10 new accounts like, say, Facebook and Instagram and all these other ones. So you know that anybody you encounter is a real person in good standing with the system. And
They're validated.
they're validated, absolutely. Yeah,
This
by
is
your
valid.
community.
Interesting.
Community validation.
So what do you need?
I would love for people to read this book and get it into the hands of, opinion leaders, influencers, etc., that care about a future, a decentralized future, a future that works for us, a regenerative future. I would love for those people to read the book, give us comments, help us make the book and its legacy more strong. And also, we are interested in working with people on the pilot projects that are coming down the line. So if there are organizations and people that would like to support in that way, we're very open.
Amazing. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience?
Yeah. I'll just say that this area above the web page is something that has been with the web before the web was even conceived. We knew it was possible back in the 1940s. We knew that information could be all connected and that we could layer knowledge on top of knowledge. And it's now the time where it's absolutely imperative that we use all of our existing technologies for their highest good and their highest purpose, their highest manifestation. That is, in a sense, what regeneration is to use things in their highest sense, highest expression. And to do that, we need to take advantage of this space above the webpage.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, Wisdom.
Cheers.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Hello everyone, I'm Wisdom Happy, and today I'm joined with Dror Noy, who is working on a project focused on creating regenerative land management systems and regenerative culture. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
So tell us a little bit about Inhabit.
Inhabit is a project started 3 years ago in Colombia, out of the understanding that we had a group of friends, how it's important to learn how to inhabit territories. What is the meaning of living in a territory, to work the land, and how we can give this experience to more people, to connect with the land, to have access to land, and especially to work with indigenous communities and to connect with ancestral knowledge in this process of land restoration and culture restoration.
Amazing. So indigenous knowledge has so much to teach us.
Well, look, indigenous knowledge, this is the basic. Those are the people that really know how to inhabit land. They are the people that holding the knowledge for regenerative and sustainable agriculture, agroforestry, but also holding the spiritual and the cultural practice of how to overcome challenges, how to navigate life, how to live in community, how to self-grow, to heal, to deal with the complexity in life with the connection with nature. I think they understanding the deep connection of human with nature and able to navigate life day by day with those practices.
So tell us a little bit about your project in Colombia.
So our project in Colombia started 3 years ago with the first bioculture hub. What we noticed in ourselves, the founder of the project, that the interaction with the land, restoring land, starting from zero, and then see the forest growing, the food, harvesting, practicing, transforming, actually changed who we are. It changed our culture, our practice, our music, our food, the way we're interacting with each other. And we saw how we can connect this, like to see agriculture and human culture as one piece. And also trying to see how we can work by listening to the land. Maybe it sounds a bit spiritual, but I really believe that the land itself can teach us, can guide us into those process of what we should do, beside what we want to do, like what we should do, how we can sustain the land, how the land can, eventually I believe that the land sustaining us. So this was the beginning of the first bioculture hubs in Colombia. We kind of created this project. And with that, we created another project also in Colombia, in the Sierra Nevada, in the Caribbean part. And this was like, okay, we have the experience, we know how to do it. And over there, we create a place for cacao plantation and dancing. Mixing, like, again, agriculture and sustainable business model, social business model with cultural practices that combine those two together.
How many people were in these biocultural hubs?
It was between 5 to 15 people involved in the process. And what we really want to do is like really to extend this network. We really imagine a corridor of those hubs happening in different locations in Colombia and later in different locations in the world. Those hubs can be an activator of different bioregional area. So we know that people have the desire to transform themselves, to heal the land, and to create more resilience system. But they need an example. They need someone braver than them in that moment that can show them and guide them how it can be. We sometimes call them neo-farmers, people that feeding this call to the land, want to transform their life, want to practice permaculture, community, but they need some bridge in between. So the idea of the hub is to be a bridge and also to allow people that want to travel from hub to hub. We call them pollinators. Those are the people that are still not ready to take the commitment to stay in one place. They want to travel. They're more like kind of, we can connect with this culture of nomads, the nomad tribes, and digital nomads today, people that want to come and gain their education by traveling and meeting different practices, and then starting to exchange and to pollinate the different hubs.
Neo-farmers?
Neo-farmers.
Neo-farmers. And these neo-farmers are stewards.
They are the stewards of the land. They are the people that are taking the responsibility to protect the land, to cultivate the land, and to be the one that holding the vision as well. To hold like this essence of why we're doing what we're doing, this essence of regeneration. Because honestly, working on the land, it's a lot of work. It's intense. You need to wake up early in the morning. It includes animal life. Suddenly there is no rain. There is too much rain. Some crops being destroyed because other animals really like to eat them. It can be quite intense, and I think it's much harder than living in the city when everything is well organized and well structured. You're waking up in the farm and you need to know at least like 20 skills a day to be able to do problem solving and to plan and to organize and the finance. And those neo-farmers are the stewards of the land. They are the ones that really committed to this land. What we envision is that in the future we want to see more grassroots organization, not only private people. The vision of Inhabit is to support grassroots local organization that don't have the resources to buy the land and the resources to have like the startup, the seed investment. And we want to support them by a financial mechanism that we are developing based on blockchain technology. We want to tokenize land. We want to fractionalize the land ownership. We're playing a lot of with the topic of like the common goods. Who is the owner of the land? Am I really the owner of my land? And what's going to happen after I die? How we can change the way we see ownership and really secure the regeneration of the land for the next 7 generations. So it's not about what I want right now. It's about how I can create something that's sustaining for the future generation. If I have children or not have children, just to see a lot behind my own personal need right here, right now.
So it's evolving from this idea that we're owning the land towards a way that we're stewarding it. And you've created economic systems to help with that.
We create economic system, we're building a legal structure, an economical structure that will allow any person in the planet that want to be part to invest. To invest in a way that also generate a return of investment for what he's doing.
I'm imagining these little nodes in all these jungles and forests, and there's people, and the nature is protected because those people are there, and it's stewarded, and they're happy and content. If somebody watching wants to build a project, and with your help, how might they interact with you on that?
So if you're feeling this call to be a steward of a land, to join the Inhabit network, the community of or just to come with a good question, because we also like to be challenged in what we are doing, you're welcome to check inhabit.one. This is the website, and from that you can learn more about our work, what we are doing, our consultancy, our token model, and get in touch.
Beautiful. So you mentioned that your second project, you all moved to the Caribbean coast, and it's a coffee plantation, and you said cacao plantation, and something different. You learned some things in that transition. You came fresh with this new project. What are some of the most important things you learned in that transition?
Good question. One of the best things we learn is, I think, planning, because being a visionaries, we are a group of visionary dreamers. We learn like the big gap between dream and reality, how we can prepare ourselves better, how we can connect more into economical economical structure, economical planning, to be able to work a little bit more in control, you can say it, because again, it can be a very chaotic moment in those construction, in this development. So we learn a lot about planning, and we also learn about the power of community, how we can build a community and create a community even before we're starting to plant the first tree, and how we can connect more with the local ecosystem, with the bioregion, local organization, indigenous people. We are operating in a place that is highly complex because there is 4 to 5 different indigenous groups in the region. Foreigners, local, tourism, rapidly change, and like having this support, the support circle of the community, the local community and the international community that can come, bring input, help us get more people involved in what we are doing.
So you're creating this strong container of connection, and I assume communication that builds the community. What are some of the things that allowed that community to form, that feeling of community to form?
I think it's connecting to collective storytelling. Once we realize what is the story of the corridor, the story of the vision of seeing, like you mentioned, those different places, pins in the map, happening at the same time, collaborating, each one with his own focus, each one with his own business model, but in the same time, feeling connected. And I feel this essence of I'm connected, I'm part of something that is really significant to me, but also significant to our planet, is creating like this immediately attraction. Immediately, I want to be part, how I can be part, how I can help. And we're learning this, how we can enable more people to join, in which way, how we can communicate clearly what we need, what we can offer, and when to say, right now we are not ready, or wait a little bit. We are in this learning, in this development, so we can be honest with people that want to join and take part.
So tell us a little bit more about your vision for Inhabit, where you see it on the world scale.
For me, Inhabit will be the future of regenerative way of living. I see places all over the world, different countries, different agriculture and cultural practices that coming together with the understanding that we are part of this network of life. We are all connected. We are all connected because we are really connected with technology, with communication, but this way of working the land and being involved with the land, understanding how long it takes. Things take time to develop. We may be living in a very fast reality, but nature has its own process, have its own time, and we need to listen to this time, to this rhythm. So I see like a vibrant community, decentralized community that also able to take their own decision, that can have its own governance. We imagining in the future a DAO, turning Inhabit into a DAO. We understand that we are not ready for that complexity.
A decentralized
autonomous organization. That the member of the community and the member of the hub can take their own decision how they want to direct the organization.
But it's too complex. Okay.
It's a complex structure, and it's required to build complexity. We're trying to work with this syntropic perspective, how we can work from simple to complex, and not from complex to simple, because then we know we're going to get lost in the way. So we're building it, and we're building trust. I think trust is also a big part of what we are trying to do. We are not in a hurry. We know that we need to act. We know that things like climate change and indigenous rights and deforestation and human interaction is really urgent. But in the same time, those things taking time, and we understand that we prefer to live the natural process of things, listening to nature, working with nature, and trusting that the right people, the resources will come in the right time while we are sustaining the vision.
So what do you need? in order to reach the scale that you want to reach within habit?
I think what we need is more people involved, more people that care. We have specific needs in the organization, like we need a tech lead that will help us to develop more the NFT and the tokenization part. But we also need people that care about the planet, want to be part, have this passion. We need more support. And support is by getting involved, show up, taking initiative, show your leadership. Because eventually, for me, it's a practice of leadership, how we can take our vision, our idea, our inner knowing, and put it in action in a service of something that is much bigger than me. I'm just a steward and a caller to do this work, like many other people are doing similar things. There is many projects that have the same essence, and it's beautiful to see like more those mushrooms after the rain popping up with this collective consciousness.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience?
Keep regenerate, get close to the land, plant, and I think we are in really beautiful way to build a beautiful future for the next 7 generations.
Thank you, Joy.
Thank you very much.